Hey guys, it's Mike from Sapulpa Times. I am here. We're going to do a special interview with Brandon Mull. He is the candidate for City Council Ward 1. Election is coming up next month, I believe, right?
February 10th,
Yeah,
yes.
February 10th. And so you and I have known each other for several years now. Actually, I first met you when you were, I think, when you were not involved, that's not the right word, but you were making an appearance at the school board meetings and stuff back when Kevin Burr was the superintendent. And
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun there. Sapulpa Times was having a good time back then, that's for
Sometimes you have
sure.
to stand up for things.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of what you feel like is happening here, I guess, judging by some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. But first, let's get to know you just a little bit. Are you a lifelong Sapulpan, or how long have you lived here?
I moved here in 88. I've been in Ward 1 since 99. We've been in the same house since 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since 2000. Okay. And so you've lived here through a lot of changes in Sapulpa.
hmm
Okay. And you're also a business owner here. I know you own the
Yes.
Water Street Tattoo. I am curious for you as a business owner, because you used to have your shop over on Mission Street and now
Yeah.
you have it downtown. I would imagine that being downtown has probably impacted that business more. You
It
tell me.
was actually busier for the most part over on Mission Street, but it ran into rent problems with increasing prices. So we moved downtown
Okay.
and thought that that was going to be the best move. And we've been down there 8.5 years now and seen a lot of things happen in that
Right.
short time.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let's talk about some of the things that have happened, I guess. So what made you decide to run for city council?
Some of those changes,
Okay.
some of the things happening down here that it doesn't seem like people that have a business downtown are having a voice in. So I want to represent people that aren't being heard.
Okay. Can you talk more about that? Like some of the things that you feel like the downtown business folks have not
Well,
been able to be heard in?
yeah, I've been down there 8.5 years and I've had three council members come through the door, and one of them was related to me announcing I'm running, and the other was another individual trying to sell me something. So they aren't really representing the people, it seems, when they don't come through and talk to people about the things that's being voted on and the projects being done downtown. If the people aren't being asked for their input on it directly, then they're not really being heard.
Okay. Um, are you, well, I guess we'll get to that in a little bit about like specific types of things that are happening as far as that you don't feel like are being heard. But first, I was looking over some of the things that you've said as you've kind of started your campaigning. I wanted to ask you about a couple of them. One of them, you said that you were, this is the quote, for the city slowing down and spending, for the city slowing down spending on downtown until the debt is paid down. And then you kind of spoke also about that you felt like the city should be putting more of an emphasis on things like roads and sidewalks. And I was just curious if you could kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
I walk through the town sometimes going to work,
Okay.
and there are roads, and I drive through the town also, but there are roads and sidewalks that are needing repairs and work done. There's a majority of the town doesn't even have sidewalks anywhere. So when you're driving down the road and when people walk somewhere, they're walking on the edge of the street. So there's a variety of things like that that need to be addressed. That everything is being focused in this little strip down here, and the rest of the town is just kind of being put to the side. I think that we need to build up the entire town, not just downtown. I work in downtown, but that doesn't mean that that's the only place that needs attention.
Do you have, can you be specific about maybe some of the more neglected parts of town that you feel like deserve more attention?
Have you walked around downtown or anywhere? There's a lot of
Well, I
places.
mean, I spend most of my time downtown when I'm not at home, but yeah.
For example, I ride a skateboard to work at times.
Okay.
You can come down Lee by the Collins building, and the road is so rough that a skateboard will not roll down the hill heading west. You have to push to go downhill. That's a textured road.
Okay.
That's a rough road for vehicles. That's a rough road for a bicycle. That's a rough road for a skateboard. There's Bryan is about the only new road I can think of that is through the center, the square part of town, the square mile. That's where we live. It's off in the middle of that, and that's the newest road there. There's roads all over that when you're driving, you have to, swerve around for divots and just things that need repairs in them. The roads, we've lived in our house 26 years, and I can't recall that that road has been worked on but one time, and that was when we first moved in.
Okay. The road that you live on currently?
Yeah, on
Okay.
Lincoln, which is it's a very traveled road. There's a
It
lot of
is.
traffic that move up and down that road from the school.
Right. Yeah, it's good. That's one of the, in fact, now that the construction is there, that is probably the
Yeah.
main thoroughfare
Yes.
for getting in and out of the school, up by Watchhorn and everything
Yeah.
else. So I used to live on Lincoln, so I know how you feel on
Yeah.
that.
It,
So
it's
it's
not
good.
it's not in terrible shape just yet, but it's definitely. I mean, there are roads all over the place. The point is that the whole town needs to be looked after instead of just a small section of the town. This little downtown district represents maybe 1 or 2% of the town at most,
Okay.
but the rest of the town, we have business centers all over town in the big square. There are business strips all through there, and there's never anything done in their areas. It's just focusing down here, and I think that we need to lift the entire town up at the same time.
Okay. So raising the whole town and not
Yeah,
just focusing on one area. Okay. Thanks for
absolutely.
elaborating on that a little bit. I did want to know what did you mean by you were talking about the debt being paid down. Do you feel like the city's going into a lot of debt with these projects that we're doing?
Well, when you add the high school and the stuff down here and all of the different bonds that have passed since 2010 or so, there's quite a bit of them. I'm
Mm.
not sure which ones have been completely paid off, but there's it definitely seems to be an overextension of the credit of the town happening.
Okay. Do you feel like people are feeling that in the taxes and things of that nature? Or do you personally feel that or?
Well, yeah, the mortgage for the houses went up, rent is going up, building prices are getting pricier and more expensive. There's a lot of areas where you can feel that crunch.
Okay. What do you say? This is not in the notes, but it's related. What do you say to the idea that, well, like the school bond, the 2020 Geo bond,
Yeah.
things like that, those were all voted on and approved by the people and things like that. How do you how do you feel about that when you hear about, well, folks that are uh, feeling the pinch, I guess, but they didn't vote,
Yes.
possibly.
Well, that's one of the things that I've been talking to people on social media about and hearing a lot of people say that they never know when the votes are happening. And what this comes down to is the biggest turnout for a vote that I have found was the school bond. And that was 1,400 people, I believe, that voted for that, just give or take a few.
Hmm.
Usually it's close to 1,000 people that vote for everything out of a town of 23,000 people. That's not fair representation of the town's consent for what happens. I think there needs to be something done to get more people out to vote and get them to understand that when they don't go and vote, they still pay the bill at the end of the day anyway.
Right.
So why don't you go and have your voice heard and your opinion heard on whether you want these things to pass or not? And whether we can get all of the people to vote or just a larger percentage, I think that doing something to make people aware of when votes are happening and what the vote is for would be beneficial to the town.
Do you
It
have any
seems like
idea?
that's done on purpose, that it's done where it's put out in a way that people just aren't aware of it. And we need to work on that. We need to smooth that out some.
Do you have any idea or any suggestions for how maybe we can bring greater awareness to the community?
Yeah, I do. I've got quite a few things I've got in mind. There's, I've talked with people about everything from the water bill, putting a flyer in that, that announces stuff. But the thing is, like with me, I get my water bill. I see the envelope. I don't even open it. I just pay it
Mhm.
online because I realize that the bill is due. So I just go to the city website and I pay it there. So that's not necessarily a way to get people's attention. I think something along the lines of the digital billboards that you can put at the corners of the main square and have public announcements on them. The way that some of the banks have stuff, we could do the same thing for the city, and they're really not that expensive compared to some of the cost of things I've seen being spent down here. We could get that stuff, set it up, and have it ran where the public would be aware anytime a vote was happening, what the bond issue was, what the vote was for, whether it was city council, state elections or national elections or anything like that.
Okay. That's not a bad idea, actually. I like the idea, especially the digital billboard.
I see them every time driving to Tulsa. I'm like, why can't we do something on a smaller scale here? If people it's like with the city council meetings. A lot of people say that they can't make those, but the times are on Mondays at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, depending,
Right.
I guess. If you can't make it to those, well, then make your voice heard through showing up to the elections, and do it that way.
Mm.
If that's the only way that you can, then participate in that way.
Yeah, at least participate. I'm all for that. Okay, so moving on to the other thing, pretty much the last major question we had here was, you talked about being negatively impacted as a business owner. You know, your business is right there on Water Street. You're about as
Yes.
close to downtown as it gets. We've had major things that have happened. The big disruption with the construction, the started in March and is looks like it's going to wrap up the end of next week.
Yeah.
Finally get that open again, and then also the Christmas Chute. You know, because that not everybody knows this, but they have to close the street down several weeks in advance for that, and then it's closed the entire time, and then it reopens in January. You talked about being negatively impacted about that. Did you? I'm curious if you were on city council, would you have done anything differently about that, or
Yes.
what would you have done?
I would have went downtown and personally walked into every business like I do regularly all the time, frequently anyway. I walk down and I talk to people and see what their opinions on things are. And I just talk to them like a person. Is this affecting you? How you're doing business? If it's a good or a bad thing, let me know, and I can form an opinion on that, on which way it could be done. Any of the stuff that's being done down here could be done in a way where it doesn't impact all the businesses in a bad way. Clearly the chute does good for some places, but the majority of the businesses in our downtown are not retail. We have a lot more service and office buildings down here than we have retail.
Hmm.
So the chute is meant to bring people in to shop for Christmas, but there's a small percentage of the businesses that have things for sale. The rest of them don't have that option. So it's the title places, the lawyers' offices down here, the salons and things like that. In my business, people don't come down here to see a Christmas event and come in to do those. You get their hair cut, to visit a lawyer or a title place, or a tattoo shop. You don't come down here to do that. So that puts us in a negative spot because of the way that it's set up. There's a gate off the edge of Dewey on every street that intersects with it. And that gate is the entrance to the chute. Anybody that walks up to that gate doesn't look at the businesses at all as they're walking by them on the side streets. Once they get in the chute, they're in the park. They're in where the event is happening. But the walking through to get there, they don't look at anything on the way.
Okay.
That's what we've noticed in the 3 years that the chute was up. That we just watch people walk in front of us, all day long.
Um, so my question about that is, do you have any suggestions that businesses can do? And I've got another kind of related question here, but my first one is, what do you suggest the businesses that are on these side streets doing? Because I mean, the Christmas shoot's not going anywhere. We're going to
Yeah.
do it. We're going to bring it back this year. Do you have any recommendations, just from a business owner standpoint, of what they could do to maybe take better advantage of the crowds that are coming in?
Well, with that, the chute committee seems to have a rule book that they present to people, as far as you can't do this or you can do this. If they're going to have rules that they want the businesses to follow, they need to let us know, because I've not seen the rule book that they want to present to us, with the way that we're not able to promote our businesses. We're not able to put out signs or do anything like that. They want to come and tell us to not do that. So help us be able to promote our business, so that if it is going to be an issue with people coming into the store or walking in front of it, that we can do something to draw people in.
Okay.
Don't hinder what we can do. If you're going to close off the street, don't shutter us up, because that's what it feels like.
You feel like you've been shuttered up by the folks that are in
Yeah,
charge of the Christmas shoot?
absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so kind of still staying along that same small business mindset. You mentioned earlier how a lot of the businesses that are downtown are like your service providers and your
Yeah,
hair salons and things like that. So when you look at the master plan for downtown, which was something that they really came out with back in like 2018 as they were starting
yeah,
to prepare for the 2020 GO bond. The master plan said that when they did the assessment of the city's needs and they invited everybody to those charrettes and all that, all the people who came and participated, they said, We want to see a more pedestrian friendly downtown. We want to see more things to do at night. We do want to see more shopping and more restaurants and things
Yeah.
like that. I was curious, specifically because Ward 1, I mean, this is it. It runs right through downtown. Do you have any suggestions that you would do as a city councilor to maybe kind of attract those businesses? And also on that same line, how do you do that without maybe upsetting the folks who are there, who they've been a salon person at this corner for 30 years or whatever, and they don't want to feel like they're being run out of town or something.
That's what it can feel like at times. That's a tricky question, especially answering on something like this, because when I saw the downtown master plan, I went over to the Chamber of Commerce and I spoke to Susan at that time and I asked her, are you guys planning to relocate all the businesses downtown? Because it appears that you're wanting all new businesses down here with the way that this layout looked on that.
Hmm.
And she told me that no, they're not doing anything like that. And, I'm thinking, well, if you're trying to attract a lot of new businesses down here for entertainment purposes and things like that, there's a lot of us that's going to have to go. So why, if that is the case and that's what the city did or would want, why wouldn't they approach the businesses and talk to the business owners about relocating to a different area so that the downtown can be progressive in a different way? Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know the answer to that just yet. But I do know that downtowns that have entertainment districts do seem to be better off than places without it. That's just something that you can see going anywhere. You go downtown Tulsa, that's what you see there. That's a much bigger town, but that's what you see there. There's a lot of entertainment and places to eat and things like that, which will get you out and shopping through the local businesses that are nearby.
Hmm.
Uh, Sapulpa doesn't have that just yet, so it appears there's a plan to bring that in, and how they're going to do that remains to be seen. I've got ideas on it and stuff, but I don't really feel that that's something I want to talk about just yet. I
Okay.
want to get some more research behind things before I say too much on that.
Okay. So the other thing I noticed is some businesses have chosen to kind of pivot a little bit, and I think you guys have done that. You've got a vintage clothing shop that you've opened up into a shop now, right?
We did
Am I,
we did
yeah.
that. Yes, we did that a little over a year ago, trying to draw in people for the shoot, as it was coined at first, was a retail venture downtown. So we thought, well, if we put a retail venture up front, then that will get people through the door. But like I said, once you're outside of those gates, it's kind of like going to Bell's. When you're walking through the parking lots, you don't pay attention to the cars until you get in the gate where the rides are, and that's what downtown is like when the shoot is up.
Yeah, because people are going for the shoot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I understand the challenge there for businesses. So
it's
do you,
tricky.
do you felt like that pivot that you guys made, did that help?
No,
It did not.
not really.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, we tried something. Like I said, I mean, we've had a rough couple of years. We've tried to do things to mitigate things, and I worked 2 jobs this year for 6 months, just trying to stay open down here with all of the stuff going on. It's not been easy. And that's once again why I want my voice to be heard, because I've got ideas and opinions too, and I've been to city committee meetings and different things down here, and I'm going to get in a position for my voice to be heard. That's the only way it's going to happen. So
Okay.
I'm going for the city council.
Okay. Well, guys, you be sure to let your voice be heard as well. And if you want to vote for Brandon, he'll be available February the 10th, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because we got a couple different things. This one is going to be kind of a special election because you've got three candidates
Yeah.
that are running for this particular seat. And so we'll have the primary and then the runoff later in April. And so, anyway, yeah, Brandon, thanks
Yeah.
again for coming down and talking with us about it. And I appreciate you giving us the chance to let your voice be heard, at
Well,
least to our readers. So,
thanks for having
yeah,
me.
thank you very much, guys. All right, guys, we're going to let it go this time, but we'll be back again with the next candidate. You guys stay tuned to Sapulpa Times, and we will see you guys again real soon. Thank you. Bye bye.